You're live, Don.
We're like, oh, I didn't hear. Did the music come on? The open?
Yeah, I heard it.
I did not hear anything, and I didn't. Did you guys see? I'm sitting here looking, going, wait, what is going on? As my grandma would say, what are you doing? Where are you going looking wise and otherwise? So, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. Just real quickly, Andy, let's take the folks to Clive, Iowa. I just want to show you. You can see the folks there in Clive, Iowa. They are waiting for President Donald Trump to come up. And the reason that I wouldn't usually show you a Trump rally, but considering what's happening in the world, we're going to be trying to figure out, we're going to be monitoring what he is saying at this point in Iowa. We want to know what he is saying, especially considering that he came out today and said something extremely interesting as it relates to the Second Amendment. And people are trying to figure out, like, what is going on, because it appears like the Republicans are now backtracking on the Second Amendment. And so look, you guys know how I felt about this since yesterday. I just cannot understand for the life of me how anyone can look at the video and know about just the history and the resume and the story of this man, of Alex Pretti, and how you can say something negative about it. People like Megyn Kelly saying, I don't feel sorry for him. I don't understand how you can do that, because there's really no other explanation. None of what they're saying is true about this man. So again, I would not normally do this to you because I hated it when we just sort of had the Trump rally up there, but I want to hear his excuse or excuses for how his administration and the people who are in charge of the border, who are in charge of the Justice Department, what they're saying. Does he condone it? Are people going to be with him? He's in Iowa now saying that he has the best poll numbers ever, and that's not true. He doesn't have the best poll numbers ever. Our dollar is cratering right now. Consumer confidence, it's lower than it's been since the end of 2014. And he has the nerve to say that it's, give us a little bit of volume here, just a teeny bit, Andy. He has the nerve to say, so are they just playing music? Okay.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that music because you never know. You never know. We don't own that music, so we don't want to play it. And so there's the crowd there in Iowa. And I think he was in a diner earlier, and he did an interview earlier. But here's the first order of business, guys. Make sure you hit the like and make sure you hit the thumbs up, because it does affect the algorithm and more people become aware of our channel. So thank you so much. We should keep that up there in a small box if we can, Andy, because again, I would not normally do this, but I want to know what he has to say if he talks about it. And if he lies about it, what we'll do is what the mainstream media won't do, is that we're going to call it out in real time. We're not going to wait for the fact checkers. We're going to call it out in real time. And so there are other speakers who are up there, and they're about to introduce him, introduce the president. But let's talk about where we are right now. And that is a very dangerous place. For quite some time, a decade now, we haven't had a shared sense of reality, and we haven't had a shared sense of truth. We've had someone who constantly lies to the American people, even when he wasn't in office. For the 4 years that we got this respite, and we had someone who was actually presidential in office, he was still out there loudly declaring that the election was stolen, that he has been aggrieved. And for a lot of that time, he was, no, not a lot, but at the end of it, he was in court for something that he should have been in court for earlier. I mean, Merrick Garland, come on, I don't know what took you so long. But he was in court, losing case after case after case after case. And if he were not president right now, he would be behind bars. So this is what the president is tweeting, or whatever you want to call it, on Truth Social about the election, right? When I said even when he wasn't in office, he was still putting stuff out about the election. This is what he put out on Truth Social, saying that this is what he put out, because he's telling people that the poll numbers are good. Fake and fraudulent polling should be virtually a criminal offense, as an example, all of the anti-Trump media coverage of me during the 2020 election showed polls that were knowingly wrong. They knew what they were doing, trying to influence the election. But I won in a landslide, including winning the popular vote. And then he goes on and on and on. And he's talking about CNN and MSDNC and the fake news NBC and all of that low rating CNN. And it's like all of those things that fail. It's just like childlike. And I guess the MAGA brain, folks, I guess they love it. They eat it up and they buy it, and maybe that helps him, but it certainly doesn't be really helping him in the poll numbers. Thank you, Francie275. Because of Francie's generosity, 5 people get to become members of the Lemon Nation. Thank you. Talking about polling scams. Now, this is I want you to play. This is what Donald Trump is saying about polling in Iowa. Bold-faced lie right on camera, and just says it without hesitation. Here it is.
Clearly your base is with you, strong and supportive. They're very
stronger than, by the way, our base is with us. I think they're the best poll numbers, the real poll numbers. I think we have the best poll numbers we've ever had. But think of it, if I would have run again, would anybody be happy? So we have the best poll numbers we've ever had. Thank you all very much.
Okay, who put that baby in that flag dress? Y'all did her dirty. That flag dress. Anyway, she's a cute little girl, but why'd y'all put her in the flag dress? Isn't that desecrating the flag? I'm just saying. Flag, and you can't do that, but isn't that flag desecration? Not supposed to wear it like that. You're supposed to display it the way it's supposed to be displayed, but I'm just saying. Anyways, so that's what he is saying. These are the real poll numbers. Roll it.
Yeah, Kristen, well, I think at the end of 2025, you're starting to see a polling slide for Donald Trump and for his party. Certainly that has continued and maybe even worsened a bit for him heading into 2026. This is a new New York Times Siena national poll here. They show Trump with an approval rating now of just 40%. 56% say they disapprove. Again, this is basically a year now into Trump's second term. When he came back to office to start that second term, this approval rating in some polls was actually in the mid to high 40s. You can see now it's more consistently at this level. And again, 40 might even be a tick lower than we're seeing in some other polls. What are the ingredients that go into that? The major issues here they checked in on in this poll here. Look, no news story here when it comes to the economy, inflation, and the cost of living.
Look at the right side. Look at the disapproval numbers. That is a huge, huge difference in all of these. This is not close. This is not within a margin of error. And he's saying that the folks are with you. These are the issues. Job approval, Venezuela, 53% of Americans disapprove. Immigration, 58% of Americans, almost 60% of Americans disapprove. On the economy, almost 60% of the Americans disapprove. The cost of living, what he likes to call affordability, 60% of Americans disapprove. And look at the Epstein files. People are not stupid. They know something is up with these Epstein files. 66% disapprove. Now, I find it very interesting. This administration is collapsing. Thank you, Colleen TNC. You're right about that. The numbers be knowing, Kay Patterson. Thank you so much. But here's the thing. Venezuela, problem of his own making, right? For Donald Trump to be this way on immigration when he says he has closed the border and people still disapprove, it's because of the shit that you're doing in Michigan and other places. And you think it's great. You keep saying, well, DC, everything's safer, everything's okay. I don't know any, I don't have any evidence of that. And until it is long-term and lasting, I'm just not going to go with it. I hope it goes down. I hope they're saying that the murder rate is down, but not overall crime, as he is saying. We'll get to that. The economy, 58%. He's supposed to be, great on the economy, yada, yada, yada. That's what it's supposed to be. Not so much. The cost of living, what is that? 60 what percent? Yeah, 63, 64, 66%, 64%. 64%. 64% disapprove. And then the Epstein files. And the Epstein files, 66%. That's not surprising since they have not been transparent about the Epstein files. And then at the last minute, when he said, well, at the last minute, maybe in the 11th hour, let's not put the Epstein files out there, and then orders his Justice Department to do, or says it okays them to do it, and then they don't do it. And now they're fighting it at every turn. What is going on? You know, I said that he should fire all these people, but I'm wondering if he's worried that if he fires these people, then because it may be bad for him because now they know what's in those files and they could use that as leverage. That's interesting. I never thought about that. Did you guys think about that? They can now use it as leverage because they're like, we know what's in those files. And as long as I'm sitting in this seat, those files are never coming out. I'm just saying. Trump does not care about his rating. Deny, deny, deny. This is dark and lovely. Why do you say that? He cares because he'd better care about those ratings. You know why? Because if the midterms come and all the Republicans are swept out of office, he's done. He is done. If the balance of the Congress and the Senate change, done. The balance of the Congress changes, done, done, done. He's done. Keep going, Steve Kornacki.
There are low marks for Trump's handling of those issues. A lot of disapproval there. That was the story all of 2025, certainly for him as well. But more front stage, center stage here in the last couple of weeks, the issue of Venezuela and the issue of immigration certainly been in the headlines more. And again, low numbers there for Trump as well, really matching his approval rating, 40% on immigration, 41% on Venezuela. On immigration, diving a little deeper here, there's some interesting questions, I think, sort of underneath the surface in this poll. They asked about ICE, immigrations and customs enforcement, obviously very much in the news in the last couple of weeks. And it's a wide margin here of disapproval for the job that ICE is doing. 36 approved, 63 disapproved. There was a question in here as well about the tactics, saying that folks believing widely that ICE was going too far in its tactics. Although we've said this for a long time, when it comes to issues of immigration and the border, public opinion can be more nuanced and more complex. And there was one finding in here along those lines, I think, worth looking at as well. They did ask this question about the Trump administration, its handling of deportations of immigrants living in the U.S. illegally. That's how they worded it. And that got 50% actually say they support how the Trump administration is handling deportations of immigrants living in the U.S. illegally. Only 47% opposed. So again, low overall marks on immigration, very low marks for ICE, for the work that ICE is doing, but maybe a step above that, just the overall question here of deportations, you see a very different number there.
Well, fascinating when you break down, go more deeply into the immigration.
And there you see, thank you, Andy. There you see President Donald Trump walking. We'll spare you all of that, but and then continue on because I want to wait till he gets in the speech and all the applause and accolades. I don't really care about that. I just want to know what he has to say about Michigan, what he has to say about this man who has died. I want to know what he has to say about all of that. This administration has to be held accountable. And this is Donald Trump's doing. As much as you would like to, people always talk about the underling, the person who is, like when I was in news, they'd always talk about the news director, that's at a station, or the person who's running the news division or whatever. When really that's important. But what happened lately, especially in cable, if you watch and you want to know what happened, it's really the people who are above it's the corporate oligarchs who are putting those people in place, and they're putting incompetent people in place in those places. And so Donald Trump is the same thing. Donald Trump is putting incompetent people in places where they should not be, obviously. Like Greg Bovino, who is out there acting like a Gestapo, like, this is the 1930s and 40s, in the coat. And so now reports are that he has been demoted and that he's going to retire soon. They are denying it, but Donald Trump is saying he's changing things up. He was asked about Bovino in an interview, and he talked about, well, maybe Bovino, he said he pulled back or whatever, maybe Bovino's style wasn't quite right. Here it is.
It's gone very differently in Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in.
Yeah.
Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you make little changes. Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here. But you have to understand, when I watch some of the people that I've been watching over the last few weeks, these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. These people aren't normal, like, that, they're incensed about anything. How do you get incensed when you go into a state and you're taking criminals out? You're taking monsters out, murderers. We had 11,888 murderers let into our country by other countries, by Biden with his open border stupid policy. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You talk about bad policy. Open borders where people were coming, so the whole world, the Congo, Venezuela, all over the world, they're letting people in from their prisons and they're feeding them into the United States.
We got it. It's the same thing over and over and over, the same message. The exact same thing. And it's always somebody else's fault. And so he has to deflect to that because he has a person who has died, two people who have died. Both of them good people. One of them appears to be a model citizen. And he has the nerve to stand there and talk about other issues. He should be talking specifically about what? He should be talking specifically about Alex Pretti. That's who he should be discussing and not making excuses for everyone in his cabinet. Now, you heard what he said, that Bovino, he said maybe he wasn't right. He's out there. That's as big of an admission that I think you're going to get that you've heard so far. That shows you that Bovino is indeed, if you listen to that, demoted. No matter how he tries to spin it, we are not stupid, says Ms. Lady. You're right. The American people are not stupid. He also addressed Kristi Noem. Did he address Kristi Noem? Let's see. Yeah, no, he didn't address Kristi Noem, but he talked about Greg Bovino. Trump admits he recalled Bovino because he screwed up. Here it is.
That was the one we played.
Oh, I thought it was the pullback. Trump on Bovino pullback. Is that a different one? Do we not have that one? Just let me know.
I only had one of those.
Okay.
I'll
because there are two in our notes. Okay, great. So anyways, so Kristi Noem and Bovino are out there, and you know that this is talking points, and they came up with this script. And apparently I would hope that someone approved this at the White House. But I guess it wasn't approved at the White House, and maybe that's why they're being demoted. That's why they're being deported, especially Bovino being deported from Minnesota. But this is a script, apparently, that they wrote. Now, again, I wonder if the White House approved it, because it sounds like they're on the same page, and this is exactly what they wanted. Here it is.
An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect
violently resisted, fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers.
An agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately,
delivered medical aid to the subject, but the subject was pronounced dead at the scene.
This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage.
Where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him, and dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, brandishing like that, and impeding their work that they were doing.
Again, a script. And it all went so wrong. Those comments that they made, those initial comments that they made after that man was murdered, that's what got them into trouble, and that's the script they came up with. And now they're saying that this is that they are maybe they're diffusing the situation. That's what they're saying. That it is not that he's backing away from Donald Trump. Give me the Bill O'Reilly clip, please. Not that he's backing away or that he's retreating. Here it is. I want to play it for me, please.
Okay? Everybody should understand.
So then why is Trump
now, here's
backing
the second
down?
part of the story. He's not backing down. He's trying to defuse. Why would you say he was backing down? You want a CNN contract? He's not backing down. He's diffusing the way he should. Now.
I want to bring in Jolly Good Ginger. Jolly has been following this. Jolly, I'm not sure. Did you see that soundbite?
I did.
Okay. Jolly's going to be
I
with
just
us.
say that Bill O'Reilly is looking like absolute shit.
I want you to save it for me. Okay. 2 minutes. A word from our sponsors. We're back with Jolly Good Ginger. Support comes from Bio-Optimizers. Now, if you're eating better, you're going to bed early, you're doing the right things, and you're still waking up tired, that's not normal. That's your body asking for support. And that's where a magnesium breakthrough comes in. It's Bio-Optimizer's best-selling magnesium supplement made with 7 essential forms of magnesium. Not 1 or 2 cheap fillers. Nope. And they use their passport delivery system to help magnesium actually get into your cells where it works. So people use it for deeper sleep, for calmer nerves, and better recovery. So wake up rested instead of drained. Most magnesium supplements cut corners. Magnesium Breakthrough does not do that. They are research-backed forms at effective doses. So right now, during their New Year, New You event, you can get up to 35% off of select Magnesium Breakthrough Ritual bundles. Go to biooptimizers.com/DonLemon and use the code DON15. That's biooptimizers.com/DonLemon. Use the code DON15. Start 2026 rested, not burned out. Support comes from Shopify. Now, when I started the Don Lemon Show, everything was on me. Content, setup, branding, merch, the to-do list never stopped growing. That's why the right platform matters. For millions of businesses, that platform is Shopify. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from global brands to creators just getting started. And we use Shopify right here at the Don Lemon Show to bring you the merch that you love. You don't need to be a designer or a tech expert. Shopify gives you clean, ready-to-use templates. Their built-in AI tools help with product descriptions, images, and promotions. And Shopify helps you reach customers through email and social campaigns. From inventory to shipping returns, Shopify handles the heavy lifting for you. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So start your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon. All right, we're back now. And as I said, the president is in Clive, Iowa today, giving a speech trying to shore up his support. I'm sure he is concerned about the low poll numbers that we showed you before. He arrived in Iowa this afternoon seeking to shore up the support in the Midwestern political battleground as an escalating confrontation over immigration, policing, and neighboring Minnesota threatens to drown out his economic message. The Republican president is reeling from sagging support for his economic and immigration policies, will seek to rally his rural supporters in a state that hosts key congressional races in November. Mounting stress in the farm economy and delays in biofuel policy are testing the patience of farmers and renewable fuel producers. We're back now with Jolly Good Ginger. So Jolly, we talked about this. Jolly, you called me this morning. Jolly said, look, I know that people think that this is a change and whatever they think it is, but you're saying, no. This is no retreating. This is no backing down. You don't think that they're backing down at all, that this may be even an escalation. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I do. In fact, since our conversation this morning, Don, not to jump ahead of that part, but I'm talking to people on the ground in Minneapolis who are saying to me, they're shocked at how active ICE has been on the ground in Minneapolis today. They even believed that when Bovino left, there would at least be some type of tactical pause, some type of lull in ICE operations while they changeover switch from Bovino to Homan. But what I'm hearing instead is, holy shit, it's more active today than it's been in a week or so. So it kind of backs up what I was saying. And to recap for those who weren't on our phone call, what I was saying was, while Bovino getting demoted is a moral victory of sorts, the moral victory coming in so much that people raised hell, people refused to back down, people refused to be complicit or compliant in advance, people refused to be told where to go and where to stand and how to sit down. And Minneapolis especially, I mean, shout out to the Twin Cities, they really gave these motherfuckers hell. And so all of that pressure from the people forced the Trump regime to do something. Now, the something they did was an attempt to deflect from the real conversation. They didn't come out and say, hey, yeah, we murdered Alex Pretti. We called that wrong. They didn't come out and say, yeah, we murdered Renée Good. We called that wrong. They didn't come out and say that our official stance was not exactly what you all saw on the video. They didn't say we're going to actually hold accountable the thugs that killed these two people. All they said was we're going to demote Bovino, and then it's looking like they're going to impeach Kristi Noem. This is just fall guy activity, right? This is typical mafia politician style activity, right? Blame somebody else. You played a clip just a minute ago where Trump was saying, or you had the little girl behind him and stuff, and he was saying something like, I haven't heard that. I don't know anything about that. But then you showed how Noem and Bovino have the same script. Of course he knows what their script was. Of course he knows what the storyline was. None of these sycophant secretaries or department heads move without, Taco Tit's approval. So for him to say, I don't know anything about that, and then try to change the narrative, it's just deflection. The goal's been the same since he came into office. Appeal to the white supremacist idea of white replacement, create a private army that will, appease the hatred and bigotry of the people who put him in office, while carrying out a plan to ensure the 2026 midterm elections never happen fairly. And then after the 2026 midterm elections, as long as they don't lose, because if their plan works, they won't lose, then the 2028 election is done. It's cooked. He'll be a third-term president. That's been their plan from January 20th, 2025 till now. They're not going to change it. They're not going to back out all of a sudden.
So look, this is very interesting. I find this is interesting to me. This is from Axios. Axios is reporting that Kristi Noem is blaming Stephen Miller. Andy put it up, is blaming Stephen Miller for misleading people about Pretti's death. Stephen Miller behind misleading claim that Alex Pretti wanted to massacre agents. And they're saying, Mark Caputo is saying, I don't know if we can scroll through if we have Axios, Andy, the thing, saying that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is under fire for issuing misleading and incendiary information that claimed immigration agents killed an armed Minnesota protesters Saturday because he wanted to massacre them. But that language was dictated to Noem and her department by the man most responsible for the controversial operation. Can you please scroll up, Andy? Stop operation. And that is Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff and top Trump advisor. 4 sources are telling Axios that. What do you say to that?
First of all, I believe that Stephen Miller's behind all of it. I've been saying that. As far as Kristi Noem coming out and saying this now, this is just her way to try to save her own ass. She knows that she's up for impeachment. Listen, Kristi Noem is a no good for nothing bird-legged hoe. We know that. So, I said what I said, Don. So, but for her to say now, oh well, I said what he told me to say, that's just a way to try to curry favors with whoever will listen. Nobody's listening. This infighting, this is inevitable. They're all just fighting over, second place here. But at the end of the day, the guy most responsible for all of this, which is Donald Trump, will pass the blame off to them, and they'll fight over who gets the blame. And then the guy that's behind this, if it comes down between a match between Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller is going to win, because This is Donald Trump's top advisor. This entire fucking plan is Stephen Miller's plan since Stephen Miller was going bald in high school. Have you seen his high school photos? This guy had a six head in high school. He was going bald then. That's why he's mad. So Stephen Miller's had this plan to carry out this white supremacist takeover of America since he was in high school. And after spending his entire life being unable to find the pleasure of a woman, he found Donald Trump to carry his plan out for him. So do I think that Stephen Miller's behind it? Yes. Do I think that Kristi Noem's going to win against Stephen Miller? Nope, you lose. But is there going to be accountability? That's the important part. No, there's going to be no accountability. None.
And so you think, why do you say that there's no accountability? Zero? Because they're saying they're going to get rid of Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski, who is her, is that her advisor or,
It's, bro, that's not accountability. That's not accountability. Firing Kristi Noem is not accountability. It's just scapegoating. Scapegoating is not accountability. Accountability looks like a proper investigation. Accountability looks like, all of these. Okay, let's say this. Let's play pretend, Don. Play pretend with me just for a moment. Hypothetically speaking, ICE suspends their operations in the United States tomorrow. Done. Doesn't have no more. Is that accountability? No. Accountability looks like all of the constitutional violations since January 2020, 2025 till now goes before a judge. All of those times they entered a house without a signed judicial warrant. All of those times that they interrupted First Amendment protected activities, tear gassed First Amendment protected activities, pepper ball, pepper spray, all the cell phones they stole from United States citizens after they detained them, all the United States citizens they threw to the ground violently. The accountability looks like a proper investigation into the deaths of Keith Porter Jr., of Renée Nicole Good, of Alex Pretti, of all the 32 detainees that died in ICE detention facilities over the last 12 months. Accountability looks like all the due process that was skipped. Accountability looks like investigating why we sent 250 people to a prison in El Salvador and circumvented everything constitutional about this country and then made money and then paid another country to do it. Accountability looks like why we opened up Guantanamo Bay and then put prisoners in it, then took them out. The last 12 months have been a horrifying display of what happens when we suspend the Constitution and leave everything in the power of one man. Accountability looks like holding those people to account in front of a judge, sending some motherfuckers to prison, and making sure this shit never happens again. Accountability is not firing one person.
Speaking of accountability, this is something that I had this morning. I saw on Fox News. You remember Kayleigh McEnany, right? Who was one of the White House press secretaries in the first Trump administration. And I want to play this because this is Kayleigh McEnany, and I believe that she is saying that these folks who he put into place are going to take the blame for everything, including the bad poll numbers and including if there's anything else that will happen, whether it's criminal, civil, or whatever it is, that they will take the blame for it. Here it is. Not Trump.
Meanwhile, Kayleigh McEnany here with us in studio, and good morning to you.
Good morning.
What now?
Well, what now is this? There is one duly elected president of the United States. There's one person who was the first Republican to win the popular vote in 20 years. That person was Donald J. Trump. It is a massive problem when the message being set by the person elected by the American people is lost. It's a massive problem when the direction of the president of the United States is lost. And that is precisely what has happened. On this weekend, President Trump spoke to the Wall Street Journal. We all know this. He declined to characterize the shooting of Alex Pretti. He said he is reviewing everything. But let's go back further than that. Let's go back to Tuesday. Tuesday, President Trump stood at the podium, said, "I felt terribly about the death of Renée Good. I understand both sides." He told his immigration folks, "You've got to lighten up on this." That was Tuesday. That was before Alex Pretti. Let's go back even further. Let's go back to January 11th. Donald Trump talks to the New York Times, and he tells the New York Times, "I want comprehensive immigration reform." They say a path to citizenship. He says possibly, possibly. He has been laying out the appropriate message for weeks now. He has sent a very direct action, lighten up. And when that order is not taken by the Department of Homeland Security, and when the messaging is done wrong not once but twice, the domestic terrorism, snapping to that conclusion right away, that's a problem. And President Trump has done the right thing by setting it straight, getting order, And I'm sure he's reiterated, I was the one who was elected, guys. I set the message.
Yeah, he had to take the reins. The First Lady talked to Fox and Friends earlier today about unity. Watch here.
That's it. Thank you. She is press secretary from the Fox News anchor desk.
Oh, I mean, it's so hard to not just scream and yell. Okay, composure. So, first of all, what she's saying is not true, right? So, like, I think it's important that when we see these sound bites, these clips, and they say things so confidently that we back up and remind all the listeners you're being gaslit, because this is not true. Donald Trump called everybody domestic terrorists since his campaign days. Donald Trump said that people on the left are the enemy from within. Donald Trump said that you shouldn't be allowed to speak negatively about the president. Donald Trump said that, these ICE agents are carrying out his will and his mission. Donald Trump has backed up everything that has happened in ICE. When Renée Nicole Good was killed, he was completely unapologetic in his support of Jonathan Ross and the ICE agents. Then, when Alex Pretti was killed, he was completely, unapologetic in his support of them. Now that Stephen Miller and his other advisors are coming to him and saying, "Hey, dude, we're losing Republicans over this shit," they're just trying to change it up real quick, because Republicans let you gaslight them. Republicans let you lie to their face. They let you throw the rock and hide your hand. As long as you change your message up, you'll keep some of these Republicans that are pretty pissed off about Alex Pretti being killed. So that's all he's trying to do. He's just trying to save a little bit of favor by those who still support him in very low numbers. But the fact of the matter is, this will continue. ICE operations will continue without a change. They might change their language right now. They might change their leadership. They might bovino to Homan. Which, by the way, have we all forgot who Tom Homan is? Tom Homan is a certified USDA grade A piece of shit. Yeah. So, like, let's not act like some fucking good guy is coming in here. And so this is going to continue without change. And everything that she said, I think she's just trying to interview for a job. Caroline Levitt's got it locked down. Sorry, lady. She lies better than you. So,
but I think Kayleigh McEnany's doing pretty well there. She's probably making a ton of money at Fox News.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
Maybe she's pardoned. I don't know. But the point is, it's all bullshit. That's what I'm saying. They gaslight us. It sounded like Trump didn't approve the domestic terrorism talking points. That was his talking point. He said it first. He was the first to call us domestic terrorists.
Well, she's saying he didn't. She's saying that Donald Trump didn't. I don't know. Did he? I didn't see a.
Roll the clip from the 2024 campaign trail, where he said that the real enemy, even more so than the immigrants, even more so than the foreign agents, is the enemy from within. These radical left lunatics, where we might need to bring in the military to get them under control. I don't know. Roll that clip. He's been calling us and labeling us on the left as terrorists as part of his appeal to his base, as part of his campaign.
Do we have the Trump Second Amendment soundbite that as he was walking to Marine One today? Because I'm wondering if the Republicans now, and if Donald Trump just changed the meaning of the Second Amendment. Because Jolly, you are a veteran. I believe you have license to carry. You are a staunch believer in the Second Amendment, but you think that there should, I believe, if don't let me put words in your mouth, that there should be sensible gun legislation to go along with that, right?
Yeah. For the most part, I wouldn't say staunch defender, but yeah, I believe in a country that has more guns than people. We're not going to like take all the guns away overnight. So I think that responsible gun ownership is important. I think that far more sensible gun laws and gun control is important. And I think that the current idea of just, what do they call it? Shall not be infringed is the reason we have the problems we have in this country. But the clip you're getting ready to play, every Second Amendment NRA fucking gun nut should be losing their shit right now. And they're not.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Joe Biden had said this? This is what Donald Trump said about the Second Amendment. Here it is. You cannot walk in. He's saying you can't go to a certain place with a gun. You can't go to a rally with a gun and say, what about the Second Amendment? So isn't that the whole reason? Is that's why you have a license to do it, is because you can do it everywhere, correct?
Yeah, 100%. But listen, can I make some people uncomfortable real quick, Don? Are you cool with that?
Come on, Jolly, it's me.
Come on. Okay. Let's talk about gun control in this country. All right. And what it's always been about. All right. Let's recap a situation that we're all aware of. He had a legal gun permit. Okay. He was approached first by law enforcement. Law enforcement were given commands. He wasn't resisting those commands, but then he was shot and killed. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Pretti?
Mm-hmm.
No. I just described Philando Castile.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I just described.
Okay.
I described the murder of Philando Castile in the same exact city where Alex Pretti was murdered. All right. Now let's go back. To 1968, when the very first open carry gun laws were ever put into place that said you can no longer open carry in the state of California. Why did that happen? Because the Black Panthers showed up to the Capitol in California open carrying. The history of gun control in this country has always been one of white supremacy, right? Philando Castile was legally carrying. Philando Castile was approached by the officer while not committing a crime. Philando Castile complied with the officer, and Philando Castile was murdered. For all the people across this country that are in shock and awe at what ICE is doing, need to realize that they're doing what we've always allowed police to do to the Black and brown community. And maybe had we just fucking listened at any point during the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years when this police brutality was happening across the country, we wouldn't be here right now. So when I hear Donald Trump now talk about gun control, I'm in the least bit shocked. I'm in the least bit fazed by it, because that's always been the policy of gun control. People that I approve can have guns, and people I don't approve cannot. That's been the reality in America forever. We talk about the Second Amendment as if it applies to everybody. No, it doesn't. The Black and brown community has always been suppressed in having guns. Make everybody a felon, then say felons can't have guns. Well, Black people are disproportionately made to be felons. Same thing with voting, right? So gun rights and gun laws in this country have always applied to those who fit the mold of white supremacy. And right now we're in late stage white supremacy, where white people are now feeling the effects of the white supremacy they ignored their whole lives. And just like Malcolm X said, the chickens have come home to roost. So listen to him say now that you shouldn't have a gun. That was always the policy of white supremacy. If you're not on my fucking side, you don't get a gun.
If you're Black, you for sure don't get a gun.
For sure don't get a gun. No gun.
Here is Jolly. This is happened moments ago at this rally. Donald Trump was interrupted by a protester. Here it is.
Signed. But I've made new fair trade deals with countries covering half of all U.S. trade. You do know they're paid agitators, right? They're paid. They get paid. You know, do you ever see their signs? You know, we used to have protests and you'd have guys make you a sign in a basement. These are all paid agitators. That's all they are. They get paid to go, and they don't even know what, when they interview them, why are you here? I don't know. They have no idea. They're paid insurrectionists, really, in some cases. They're sickos. But I've made new fair trade deals with countries.
He has a nerve to call someone an insurrectionist. But here's the thing. What is he talking about? I've just seen people with a little thing saying, hi, we want to be treated fairly. That's not what happens at a protest. I'm sorry. And people, it's hard for people to hear that, but that's the truth, Jolly. So, and if they are paid, I don't know if they are, they can't believe, most of the people I speak to out there, Jolly, and you're out there a lot more than I am, they're not being paid.
Nobody's being paid. Why the fuck?
But even if they are, it's not illegal.
But you don't got to pay people to be pissed off. We're pissed off. First of all, if people are getting paid, I'm going to be pissed about that, because I spend a lot. I go on my own dime, and I spend a lot of money to do it. Nobody's paying me. Listen, by the way, Don, what were you and I talking about 5 minutes ago? That he labels us domestic terrorists. And right here in real time, during this little fucking rally in Iowa, a protester interrupted. He said he's an insurrectionist. He's an insurrectionist, really, right? This is his language. This is his talking point. that if you protest against Donald Trump, then you must be paid, you must be a terrorist, you must be an agitator. This is their goal. And oh, by the way, it's projection, because you don't really see Republicans and MAGA go out and protest too much, right? You don't see them do it unless it's a teetotal fucking grift. And that's why they think that everybody on the left is grifting and getting paid, because that's the only way you'll catch them outside is if they're grifting and getting paid.
Well, they said that there were people being paid to go to the MAGA rallies.
Yeah, that's what, bingo. It's projection, dude. It's fucking projection. And by the way, if I was anywhere near Iowa, I would have been there to interrupt that motherfucker myself for free. So stop.
Because
Donald Trump sucks. Because honestly, because silence is complicity in a fascist takeover, right? Silence is complicity in authoritarian regime takes to power. You know how many people I've talked to, and I bet you did too, Don, when I was out in Minneapolis, I asked them, did you protest in 2020? They would say, no, this is actually my first protest. Now, right now, this is my first time outside on the street protesting. I can't sit by anymore. People are waking up across the country. You see the video that went viral of the guy who's like, I live in the suburban neighborhood down the way in a comfortable house. I could just not be here. I could just ignore it because it's not really happening in my neighborhood. I'm pissed off. You saw that video?
Yeah, I met a couple of them. Is this a guy said, I'm just a normal guy and I'm out here? I met that guy.
Yeah, me too. I met him before that little video went viral.
And I didn't recognize him because he had the thing on, and I said, he told me, I said, oh, you're that guy. And I talked to him live on my live stream. He's a good guy. I also talked to a guy who's there volunteering, not getting paid, for when the people were coming out of that Whipple, the people that they had detained and wrongfully detained, many of them citizens, making sure that they have an attorney, that they have representation, that they had money to get home, that they had a way to get home, that they had warm clothing. The guy who's wearing the vest, these people are not being paid.
Nope. And listen, and when you talk to them, there's one guy out there. And
here's the guy if you want to see him. Let's look at him.
Yeah, let's do it by all means.
This is nuts. This is fucking, and you're right in the middle of this shit. What the fuck is going on, dude? This is insane.
Have you ever gone out to these sort of things before?
Never. I've never protested in my life. My brother's here. He does it all the time. I've never. Like I said, I'm far enough away, but close enough, and I sit in my cushy house and look at shit and get mad, and they're just trying to fucking scare people, and but why shoot people? You know what really pisses me off is the fact that they detain people, cuff them, and then still beat the shit out of them. They tell you it's immigrants, only immigrants. It's fucking anybody. I have friends that got detained, and all they were doing was fucking driving home from work. What the fuck?
Sounds like you don't fit the definition of the...
No, and I'm not fucking paid to be here like everybody fucking says. What the fuck is that? I gotta work in the goddamn morning, just like everybody else. I'm just here trying to stand up for community, dude. We're all human beings here. I don't give a shit who you are, where you came from, what color you are. It doesn't fucking matter. This is wrong.
There you go. Fucking roll credits. Like, that's America right now. And if Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and his regime want to be afraid, now's the time to be afraid. Because this white guy who lives in a middle-class suburban neighborhood, who just now figured out, I'm not saying this to insult the guy, but I think it's important to highlight this. He just now figured out that police brutality is a thing, but now he's figured it out. This is why Donald Trump better be scared. Middle-class white America is now waking up to the atrocities that the Black, brown, and indigenous community have known for years. And that's it. It's a wrap. Once you get middle-class white America to realize, oh, shit, they're coming for our guns. Oh, shit. They'll arrest you, then still beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. Look, like as you said, that's what Black people have been going through forever. And many white people, why don't you just comply? You're making that up, whatever. There is no racism in America. And now they're finding out when you let them, when you let them out and they can do it in front of everybody, they do it in front of everybody. Did you hear Glenn Beck?
No.
Jolly?
He's still around? I did not know.
Okay. Stand by. You will hear it, and I want to get your response to it because it may be surprising to you, and the audience is going to hear it as well. But first, a word from our sponsors. We are sponsored by Incogni. Now, here is the truth that your personal data is being collected, traded, and sold every day. Your name, address, phone number, email, often without your consent. most times, right? So I tested this myself. I signed up for Incogni and was stunned by how many sites had my information. Incogni went to work contacting data brokers and requesting removals, handling the entire process for me. Now they offer even more protection with custom removals in their unlimited plans, which allow unlimited removal requests from sites exposing your data. So this matters because scammers use this information to make fake texts, emails, and calls look real. Even one exposed profile can put you at risk. So Incogni does the messy work for you so that you don't have to do it. Go to incogni.com/Don Lemon and use the code Don Lemon for 60% off. That's incogni.com/Don Lemon. Support for the show comes from Lean. Now, everybody's talking about weight loss injections, right? The results may be dramatic, but so are the needles, the costs, and the side effects. If you want another option, doctors created Lean, a non-prescription weight loss supplement with solid science behind it. Lean's studied ingredients help support healthy blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and reduce appetite and cravings, so you're not constantly hungry. Lean isn't for someone trying to lose a few pounds. It was created for frustrated dieters with 10 pounds or more to lose. Used alongside healthy eating and movement, Lean can help you stay on track without injections. So right now, you can get 20% off, plus you get free rush shipping. Here's what you do. You go to takelean.com and you enter the promo code LEMON. That's TAKELEAN.com, and the promo code is LEMON. All right, thank you so much to our sponsors. I couldn't even hear the commercial or the ad, but now I can. Okay, Jolly, you there? Are you ready? Jolly?
I'm here, buddy.
All right, I want everybody, I want audience, everybody, Lemon Heads, Lemon Nation, Jolly Nation, Ginger Nation, everybody, I want you to take a listen to this. Now, this is Glenn Beck, a staunch Republican, and would you call Glenn Beck MAGA? Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, here we go, Glenn Beck.
I'll call him a wackadoodle.
This is compelling video. Because what this BBC reporter is saying is true. It's absolutely true. He is getting in between him, the police, and somebody else the police are shoving. He is only holding a phone. He is down on the ground. He is resisting arrest, but his hands are down on the ground. His head is down on the ground. Then another agent reaches over on top of the other agents who are closest to him on the ground, reaches into his back where he sees an exposed gun, pulls the gun out, and then walks away with the gun. So he's no longer armed unless he has two guns, and they don't claim that he had two guns, only one. And pulls it out and walks away. Right after that, somebody yells, "Gun, gun, gun, gun." That's when the police officer fires at him. Now, the other police officer did not know that somebody reached in and took his gun. It might have been somebody who was saying gun, might have been saying it because they saw the other guy, because he's not marked as a federal agent, the other guy pull the gun out and walking there with a gun. So somebody might have seen him with a gun and said, "Gun, gun, gun." All the cops think that it's Pretti, and they shoot him. Okay. This is not something that you deal with as, an 8-year-old. This is a conversation for adults to have. And I'm not hearing the adults. First of all, what Noam said is not true. He didn't approach. If you want to say technically he approached carrying a 9mm, he did, but it was holstered and in his back. And you have a right to carry a gun at a protest. I don't think that makes you smart, but it does. It is perfectly legal and constitutionally protected. So I'm sorry, just because you have a gun in your back, if you reach for the gun, if you pull for the gun, then you could probably be expected to be shot if you are pushing the police around. But if you have a gun and you don't have your hands on it, you should not be shot. You have a right to carry that gun peacefully. Okay. The minute you start pointing it at people, you're in trouble. He did not. He did not. So this idea that, he was foolish for walking into, this protest with a gun. Well, you have a right to carry it.
Jolly?
Oh, how the turntable.
How the turns table and the tables turn.
It's listening to Republican white men now, explain why cops shouldn't kill people just because they might be armed. It's like, dude, that's weird. I hate to keep going back to, police brutality on the black community, but that's all this is. And now all of a sudden it happened to a white face and you see why it's wrong. I'm going to say again, we've allowed this type of behavior to continue in the community, and that's why it's where it's at. Now, as far as Glenn Beck breaking ranks with Trump because he's, ultra conservative and ultra right wing, I'm not surprised. Don, the truth is Trump isn't right wing either. Trump's a fucking, we forget, Trump's just a Nepo baby from New York that doesn't have a skill set in life, right? Doesn't have a skill set in life and just spent his entire life fucking living off daddy's money and getting contracts because the mafia helped him out and going bankrupt every other fucking year. This guy he's just saying what he thinks people want to hear. And when he reacts instinctively, typically his viewpoints don't align with the right. He's got to be told what to think from the right. And they really fucked up with this one. They really fucked up coming after the gun aspect of it, because the bulk of his base is conservatives, 2A over my dead body shall not infringe conservatives. So that's really, I think this is going to bite him in the ass in a way. It's hard to, I don't know. It's hard for me to measure how much it's going to bite him in the ass, because I don't think the 2026 elections, I don't think he plans on making them free and fair. So,
well, I mean, look at what he said to Michigan. Look at the letter that Pam Bondi sent. We want your voter rolls. I mean, what does that mean? That means we want to find out and take all of the people off the rolls who are going to vote for, right? That's what they want. That's the whole point.
Dude, this guy, oh my God, bro. I don't know. It's like at some point, going back to, if we listen to black people, we would have had to solve them a long time ago. Maya Angelou said, if somebody tells you who they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same motherfucker who called the Georgia Secretary of State and said, let's find 11,380 votes. Bro, that
780.
Well, my bad, 780. That was blatant, absolute corruption. This is the same guy who told Mike Pence, don't certify the election. Mike Pence like, bro, I can't not do that, dumb. This is the same guy who signed off on states sending in fake electors to have a fake slate of electors to have alternate election results. This is the same guy who Jack Smith just testified before Congress saying that he had definitive proof, conclusive evidence that Donald Trump was behind J6. This is the same guy. And so do we think now that he's back in power, that he's going to fucking not do something to corrupt these elections in 2026, which, by the way, he knows he's going to lose? Of course he's going to. Of course. He has to, in fact.
Jolly, are you going back out there? You're going to go to Michigan? Are you going to go to Minnesota?
I'll be there soon. I'm not going to announce live what my travel plans are for obvious reasons, but I will be back in Minneapolis soon. In fact, I'm keeping my eye on Maine. I suggest everybody else do the same. I'm keeping my eye on Maine. And listen, I don't know if you talked about it or not, Don, but a guy just got shot in Arizona today by Border Patrol. Yeah. So, this is happening all over the country. This idea that...
Was he shot or was it a fist fight?
He was shot.
Sure. He was shot.
Okay. He's in critical condition, last I heard. So, yeah. I mean, listen, this is happening all over the country. They're not turning backwards. They're going to push forward. The temperature's not going down. Talk to the people on the ground in Minneapolis. ICE was at an all-time fever rush operational pace today. So the kidnappings will continue. And in I think Donald Trump's plan is that the beatings will continue to morale improves. And that's what he thinks. He thinks he can beat everybody into silence, and it's not going to happen.
Jolly Good Ginger, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Don.
Peace out.
Appreciate the Lemon Nation. Appreciate you guys.
All right, Jolly Nation. Catch Jolly. Jolly's show here on the YouTube is
Jolly Good Ginger.
And Jolly Good Ginger on all socials. So make sure you follow and go check it out. Go like and subscribe to his show. Okay, thank you, Jolly. Thank you, Lemon Nation. So if you want to know anything about the show, you can go to donlemon.com. Of course, everything you need to know at the top of donlemon.com. It's got voting instructions for the NAACP's Image Awards. We were nominated for 4. All you have to do is follow the steps that we have right there. Also on February 2nd and 3rd, 3rd and 4th, D.L. Hughley and I will be at City Winery right here in New York City on the 17th and 18th at City Winery in Atlanta. But guess what? It is sold out. So if you want to see us, you got to come see us at City Winery in New York. Okay. February 3rd and 4th. So that's it. Make sure you vote for us and make sure you stay informed and make sure that you are informed without being inundated. Until I see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time for the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel. Unless I see you before then. My camera's ready to go now, but there we go. Until I see you back then, here's what I want you to do. Turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.